So my audio and video crapped out throughout the recording and especially at the end, but all the important bits and pieces are still there. So let's get right into it. Here's my conversation with Bryan Hayes. Well, Bryan, welcome. It's so nice for you to do this. Happy to spend the time with you. I've been kind of excited about this and getting to know more about you and what it is that you do. If you've listened to any of the previous episodes, you know that what I'm trying to do with these episodes is to highlight who people are, what they do, and how they help others. So why don't we just get right into it and get into who you are?
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Bryan Hayes, and I'm the founder of ElevateX Sales. And we're passionate about commercial real estate. And what we're passionate about the most is revolutionizing the way commercial properties approach marketing and sales. I believe in the power of innovation and the importance of building a genuine connection. That's why I've crafted a dynamic suite of services designed to skyrocket a property's online presence and attract a flood of high quality leads that will sign deals. We're marketing directly to consumers and getting the word out on a specific vacancy at a space, at a property, and the property itself that might be for sale. Our team of experts are dedicated to creating captivating social media content that showcases the unique value of a specific property, spark engagement with your target audience who may have a client that's interested in that space. So, I mean, today's competitive market, the good old time tested standard won't cut it anymore. And what's worked in the past isn't going to always work. So don't think, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And this is where we go above and beyond, tailoring our cutting edge strategies to your specific needs and goals that you have for the property and that vacant space. So really simple as it is, we market commercial real estate.
Yes. That's awesome. How did you get into this? What was your path like before you got into what it is that you're doing now?
Well, I was a commercial real estate broker for a local firm here in Dallas, Texas, called NAI Robert Lynn. They specialize in industrial, but they had a retail division. And I hopped on and started working as the market director for urban Dallas retail. So I specifically represented landlords and property owners in the urban core of Dallas, which is uptown, downtown, a little place called E.L.L.E., which is kind of the trendy, cool nightlife type area, and got to know a lot of the landlords, executed over 50 transactions, and really understood the industry, understood trendy real estate and how that is marketed and how you capture attention for a specific property. And I noticed there was a gap in the market that nobody's doing personality for commercial real estate. When you think commercial real estate, you don't think entertainment, you think numbers, think boring, and no one wants to see that. No one is creating content where they're presenting a commercial property themselves, kind of like residential, where they're like, oh, here's this bedroom, here's this bathroom, here's this. You don't do that. So I'm trying to bring life and a little razzle dazzle to commercial real estate.
That's fantastic. I guess the step before that then is how did you end up in the commercial real estate world to begin with? And the reason I ask is,
Oh, wow.
right, I dabble a little bit in real estate. We have some
So,
investment properties, not nothing on the large commercial scale yet. But what I've come to find
yeah,
is,
I heard that.
right, there's two things here. One is the people that do get into real estate usually have something else preceding it, where they then discover real estate, and that's what gets them into it. But on the commercial side, especially, at least from the agents I've spoken with, there's usually it's not a direct path into commercial usually. At least from the ones that I've
Yeah.
spoken with. So, what was that like for you? How did you end up doing commercial real estate when you first got started?
Real estate's always been on the back of my mind, and I've always wanted to do it. And I always knew not residential. And not that I didn't like residential or I think anything less of that. It's just, it wasn't for me. I don't want to paint the picture for somebody's home, life, family. I just didn't want to have that conversation. How does this house make you feel kind of thing? I wanted more of a business decision and I liked business. And I found that out early on when I graduated high school. I actually went right into sales and skipped the whole college. School wasn't for me. I couldn't sit still. I'm surprised I'm sitting in this chair. Only I'm like, oh, let's go, let's go, let's go. So I found I loved business and I loved thinking outside the box because I just felt like, I don't know, I wasn't bogged down by all the information and everything they tell you how to do something. I had to figure it out myself. So I started in sales, made my way from Salt Lake City, Utah to Dallas, Texas during the 2008, after the 2008 recession in 2009. And I really wanted to make it in the big city and had a few sales jobs. The job that moved me down, that closed the company. So I was trying to figure it out. And I didn't think real estate yet. I was still young. I was under 25. I thought, no, let's wait till I'm a little older. So I started at a company that did construction equipment, consignment, and kind of resale for construction equipment. And the owner's wife, she ran HR, which I highly suggest not to have your wife run HR if you're the owner of the company. Might be a conflict of interest, but she came to me. She said, Bryan, you need to find a job that you can talk to somebody face to face every day. And I was like, you're 100% right. So I quit the job that day, left, packed up my office, and I said, see you later. And my sister kept telling me, you need to get back to your roots, brother. You're a fitness guy. You need to get in the gym. And she was literally telling me that because I was getting a little chubby. She wasn't telling me that literally. She was just, you need to get back to the gym. But I was a swimmer in high school and that is fam, did well. Could have had a scholarship, just never pursued it. And so I was like, all right, let me try fitness. So I started selling memberships at Lifetime Fitness. And I spent about a year to get my certifications. I wanted to be a trainer because I wanted to teach people how to live a healthy lifestyle. And I didn't like telling them what to do. I just liked that advisory role. I wanted to be that expert in the room. And I picked the thing that I could do the best and the quickest. And I did training, personal training for 6 years actually, and got 5 certifications from the National Academy of Sports Medicine and trained at 24-hour fitness, Lifetime. And then I trained about almost 3 years myself. And a lot of my clients were C-suite executives, business owners, high net worth individuals that really taught me a lot about business because I had to entertain them while they were working out because no one likes to work out. No one wants
Right.
to. They're paying me to make them do something they don't want to do. And then I got to convince them to come back. So I had to be entertaining. And so we would talk about business, life. I could do podcasts just for every single session. That was before podcasts were a thing. And then one day, one of my clients who I respected so well, she looked at me and said, Bryan, you're too smart to count 10 to 10. And I was like, you're right. And so I thought, what is the hardest thing I could do? And real estate came back up. And I was like, commercial real estate. I want the high rise buildings. And I set off. I worked at a small boutique brokerage to get some experience. It was less than a year. And it was an investment firm. I sourced 32 deals for them. They executed 0. It was frustrating. I'm like, I'm lining them up for you guys and you're not doing it. So it's
Right.
essentially an SDR, so appointment setter, if you will. And I was like, well, I have a license. Like I should be doing more. So I dusted off my resume and dusted myself off and really was like, okay, we are going to apply to all 5 top 5 firms. And I set my sights on the exact top. And at the time, NAI Robert Lynn was number 5. NAI globally is NAI Robert Lynn is their local affiliate, kind of like a
Mhm.
franchise. And NAI Global's well respected, lots of agents under that brand. And so I applied there, plus JLL, CBRE, Cushman & Wakefield, all of the other top 5 firms. They all declined me because I had no college degree. I was just some guy, some trainer, thinking he's cool. And NAR Robert Lynn really gave me a shot. They're like, he's trying, he's thinking outside the box. I had to do a report on the market to kind of almost like earn my spot. Like, am I smart enough? They said, put a presentation together. And I did. And it surprised them, I guess. They were like, oh, I guess you're not a dumb trainer. So they gave me the opportunity and I took it and ran with it.
That's fantastic.
But
I really love that.
yeah,
So again, commercial real estate is not something that I necessarily dabble in because the houses we have are all still considered residential. Even though one of the properties we have is a technically a 5 bedroom, although we're only allowed to rent out 4, so that makes it kind of borderline city code. There's
oh,
there's
oh,
some
I was like, I never heard of
it's
that.
yeah, it's a local city ordinance that we're struggling with. But
It's
so
struggling.
yes.
Thank you, government.
So I'm just curious now from my own personal experience with how I got into real estate was actually through Pace Morby's Sub2 group. Really got into creative finance, and all the properties we have are either Sub2 or seller finance deals. And from my understanding, that is much more common in the commercial world than it is in the residential world. So I'm just curious now what your perspective is on how are these sometimes multi-million dollar properties sold and financed, and how do they change hands besides 1031s? But what's the what really is, even with the rising interest rates, right? It's probably hard to find a mortgage these days. So what's your
Yep.
experience with that? How is creative finance being utilized in the commercial world?
Mm. Well, a lot of it. So I actually tried to raise money in 2022. I call it my great failure, but I learned so much. So I don't call it failure. But I tried to raise money to buy a high rise building in downtown Dallas, convert a portion of it to residential apartment units, a portion of it to hospitality. There was a retail component. It was a lifestyle, live, work, play destination for anyone that wanted to live a healthy lifestyle. So your retail or food or your time in some of the entertainment portions of the building was included in your rent. So it's like, think of it as you enter and you scan card and that gives you access and you get to have certain things based on your monthly rent. So there's no cash change in hands. There's no more transactions. There's just one monthly transaction. So your gym membership is included with your rent.
Mhm.
And it failed miserably because the interest rate started going up. And so I tried to get, I guess you could call it, you know, thoughtful. And I lined up tenants that would sign a lease if we were to build this, if we were to do this. I was to raise the cap. So I almost lowered the risk because I have people that are saying they'll pay this much if we do this deal. If I'm to buy it and rebrand it and change it to Lux Tower Properties, the Lux Tower, they'll sign a lease for several contiguous floors, pay this much money. They'll take this space and pay this much. So I almost lined up all the prospective tenants that would fill this building,
Mhm.
minus the residential apartment component, which would be you could pre-lease or we could have condoed it out. But I lined up the business model, lowered the risk, and still didn't work. So interest rates play a really pivotal role. The individual raising the money, trying to get the mortgage, is they need to put money up. And it's typically just like a home, 20, 30%. The more money that they can raise, the better. But it's also their track record. And I've never done that before. And so that's the hardest part. So you need to get that experience and you can get it pretty quickly with brokerage. But unfortunately, I was brokering retail. I wasn't brokering high rise
Mm.
buildings. They don't change hands off. So it was a whole storm of it. But to answer your question, you're trying to mitigate risk for the lender. They're going to give you money, especially if you have money. So if you don't have money, you want to lower their risk. You want to show that you can be the property manager. You can show because you're actually buying a business. The business is just renting square footage. So you need to show how you can optimize the when you purchase this, just like purchasing a business, look at the P&Ls. How can you make it more profit? How can you change this? It's almost like a multifamily, this value add. How can you put in more money to extract more rent payments, to bring it up to market and increase rents? Very same with single family residential. What can you do to raise rent? So it's what can you do operationally? What can you do to raise rent? So another thing that I had put into the Lux Tower was not only the retail component, but raising rent, if you will, by doing packages. You can have this meal not a specific meal that you can eat at one of the restaurants every day of the week, and here's how much your rent goes up. So you kind of
Mm,
factor it in. So you're almost an owner operator for the restaurant, kind of like a hotel or room
yeah.
service. So you're looking to minus risk, you're looking to prove it because the landlord is also, or not the landlord, the lender is also looking at the property itself. Is it used to the highest and best use? Can it be torn down and something else be put up that makes it more profitable? Are you maximizing the square footage? Are you making money, the most money out of every single square foot? So they're looking for the highest and best use. They're looking for historically, how is that property performed? Then they're looking at the community. How is the community? Is it going to stay that way? Is it going to improve? Is there a lot of construction happening near? So it gets very intricate. Residential is location, location, location. They look at all of those factors, but they don't see it as a business opportunity. They see that the appreciation is, 10, 20, 30 years. When they do the same mortgage for commercial, but they're looking now and they're looking further into the future, but like how quickly are you going to capitalize on that money?
Yeah.
So same principle. They just look at it a little bit deeper and they want that gain to be higher, per year.
Sure. I mean, that absolutely makes sense. I mean, it's all about risk mitigation. I mean, that's why we get insurance on our properties or our businesses or, licenses
Yeah.
and whatnot, right? So, what I'm curious about for anybody, listening that has some interest in commercial real estate and they're looking for a commercial real estate agent, what should they be looking for? Like, on the residential side, I think most people know you want to have someone who's personable, knows the area, yeah, ideally is
Yeah.
connected, right? But on the commercial side, how is that possibly any different? What other skills or backgrounds or values should anybody listening to be looking for when they're looking for a commercial agent like yourself?
Yeah. Very insightful question. I still have my license. I can represent inside the state of Texas. So I would suggest it depends on what you're looking for. Are you trying to rent a retail space? Are you trying to rent an industrial warehouse? Are you trying to rent? Are you trying to do a development? Are you trying to rent an office space? You want to find a professional that specializes in the product type that you're trying to lease or own. So if you're trying to buy something versus leasing something, that's a different agent. So you need to really find out, okay, I'm trying to lease a restaurant space in this area. And then you find a person that can help you negotiate, that has experience representing a tenant for a restaurant space in that area. You want to have a market specialist, or you want to have a product type specialist. I would say college education goes really far, especially if it's with a local, well-known institution. But I would say, are they representing you well? Because they're going to the landlord, if you're a tenant, they're going to the landlord on your behalf. and saying, hey, you should lease to this person because it's very competitive. The landlord will pick and choose. No, I don't want to deal with this restaurant because like a million reasons. I know it doesn't fit the specific vibe that I'm going for. It could be a multitude of reasons on why they don't pick. And so they're going on your behalf. They have to be a good salesperson. Number one, if they cannot make an elevator pitch for you, and if you don't feel comfortable that they'll put you in a good light, then I wouldn't pick them. Now, if you are a property owner and you're looking to sell your property, that is a different agent. If you're looking to lease your property, that's a different agent or broker. Commercially, they call everyone brokers because for a couple of reasons, they don't have their broker's license, but they're considered a broker because typically the brokerage is paying an entity to hire this person. And then, or so my company, ElevateX Sales, would be paid by the brokerage the commission. And then ElevateX Sales contracts my license to represent and do those transactions. So that's why they call them brokers. But you want to find another market specialist, a leasing specialist that's going to represent you as a landlord. And then they have to be organized because there's a lot of reporting on the landlord side. And then they also have to have ideas. Like they have to think outside the box. How am I going to get the word out for this space? Especially if it's retail. There could be 5 spaces vacant and each space is different. One's in the elbow of the property. One could be second floor. One could be basement or underground, subterranean space or concourse space like they are in downtown Dallas. Um, you need to find a specialist that has ideas, even office space. You have to have somebody that has an idea and they can think outside the box and get the word out. So I took all that knowledge from commercial real estate and went, okay, I got a few ideas. No one's doing social media. At least they're not doing it right. They're not promoting a space. They're not doing guided walkthroughs of a vacant space. They're not doing client testimonials or tenant testimonials. They're not interviewing anyone. I don't know. There's no like, when you think of a residential agent, you can think of a few off the top of your head. Property Brothers, great example. They don't have
Yeah.
that for commercial. So, not like I'm trying to be this famous guy, but hey, if it's for Dallas, then I'll be the guy. If it's for the United States, I'll try. That's why I put my face out there and represent some really cool properties and get the word out directly to the consumer.
Yeah. No, that I love that. I love that a lot. So with that background and all those ideas, you see it in the news all the time that the work from home has left all these commercial buildings empty, and the owners struggling to pay their mortgages
Yeah.
because the leases aren't coming in. So where do you see the future of that? Where do you see the future of all these commercial properties that are sitting empty? Because they're not turning a profit right now, but the people
Well,
still exist, right? The people are still out there. They're just not in the buildings. So what else can be done with these buildings? What's your insight there?
great question. So, if it's a high-rise building and it's over a certain square footage, there's a lot you can do because you have a lot of space. A lot of them are built in the 80s. I mean, the construction boom, if you will, of the 80s and a little bit of the 70s, a little bit of the 90s, but mostly the 80s. And it's called adaptive reuse. Mixed use is what the future of real estate is going to be. And if you see any new development, it's apartments over retail or office over retail. There's all mixed use. So it needs to be even more mixed use where you put retail, office, apartments, and hospitality. So that's where the high rise building comes in. So adaptive reuse is literally what it says, adaptive reuse. So you're recycling an old building, changing the facade, changing the name of the building, maybe changing the lobby, doing major construction on the exterior of the building to make a nicer entryway, building on to that. So there's a way you can go to the actual zero lot line of a commercial property, high rise building, and built up to a certain amount of square footage, let's say 9 floors, and make a pool deck on the ninth floor and make it kind of like we have the older building as the center point, and you build around to the
Hmm.
lot line. And you can add more square footage there. Costs a little bit more money, a lot more, not a little. But you can recycle. It's better than tearing it down and building a whole new one, using a lot less resources, a lot less CO2 is going to go up. So, I mean, recycling of these properties. Now, what I think now, suburban is a little different. Everyone's working from home. Typically, they live in the suburbs, or vice versa. They live in the city. They can still work in the city. So it shows even better. We need more residential in the city centers. But suburbs, they have mid rise office buildings. Co working is going to be the future where, hey, don't come all the way to downtown to the high rise building. Go to our satellite office that is located near your home in a co working space. You either get a private office, you get a desk specific for you, or you just get a workspace for the day. And that's going to be what I think co working is going to make a real big comeback for WeWork. It just didn't last long enough.
Yeah, no,
But
and I've
co
seen a
working,
lot of that. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I've seen a lot of the co-working spaces in especially the major cities really come about and seemingly flourish. So it's definitely an interesting phenomenon, and that's fantastic. I do need to ask at some point during this episode, obviously, what do you mean by the sales guy? Where does that come from? What does it mean?
oh, that is a great question. I'm so glad you asked that. I've been wanting someone to ask me that, especially on a pot. Oh, I've been itching for that. Look at my face. I'm going red. Um,
Right.
I left commercial real estate because of not of my failure, but that was one of the reasons I couldn't raise the money. It was not embarrassing. It was just my time to leave the industry. And for I had been in sales since high school, and I've always been 100% commission, 1099, 100% commission, just freaking wild, wild west. And I said to myself, I want a salary. I want a nice little salary, a little cushy, comfy while I lick my wounds and see if I want to get back on the saddle. So the only company that I found that would hire me without a degree for the salary that I was looking for was a real estate debt collection agency. I was not a fit for the industry. And every time I told somebody and my friends, like, oh, I'm in debt collection, they were like, oh, but careful. It's okay. I'm not coming for you. I had to say that. But anyway, I loved the salary. It was nice. It was comfortable. I stayed there for under a year. It was like me and the owner of the company, I was the only sales guy, the only one. And we spent so much time together. We did 4 trade shows. Twice we were in Atlanta together. We did Austin. What was the other one? Houston. And then there was one in Dallas that we went. So I actually did 5. But we traveled a lot, spent time together, a lot of time. And it was so weird. I remember the day, it was like hot and cold. He went from my best friend to my worst enemy. Like he couldn't even look at me when we were in a meeting. Like he was just like looking at her. And I finally said, I was like, what is wrong? Like, what happened? And he said, Brian, you know what happened. And I never understood what it was. I think it's because the employees were respecting me more because I took a leadership role and I was kind of leading the company as he was just the owner. And he said, Brian, there was one day, the next day, he said, Brian, don't talk to any of the other employees. You're just the sales guy. And at first, it crushed me because I was like, man, you just like belittled me.
Yeah.
But I took an insult and I wear it like a badge of honor. I am just the sales guy. So, funny story. I hope he's listening. Delicious.
Yes. That's definitely a fascinating story. It took a turn that I did not expect, but And sometimes you do step on other people's feet the wrong way, and that relationship sometimes gets broken in irreparable ways, which
Uh,
sometimes honestly is just stupid. It's egos, and
and you can't fix it once it's
at the end of the
broken.
day, collaboration beats
It's hard.
competition anyway. So it's probably best to try to work together. And if someone else has expertise or skills in a certain area that you don't have, lean into that. Let them help you out and fix the gaps that you have in your own life, right?
You didn't want to do that. I
Obviously.
tried. I was there to help, and I even told it, obviously. I was like, "Look, I'm just here to help," you know? And it was funny after I left, went to another debt collection agency, same deal. That I'm just the sales guy. And
Yeah.
I was like, when I left that and I founded ElevateX Sales on the premise of being the sales guy, I was like, yeah, I am the sales guy. Like I just loved it. Ever since then, it's been on my LinkedIn.
Yeah. So you are not the sales guy. You are just the sales guy. You love to
Oh,
just. I
kill
love it
me.
though. No, that's
True. I
fantastic.
forgot just the sales
Yeah.
guy. I should put
It's a
just,
fantastic story. No, and I truly love that you've taken that and ran with it and made something positive out of it. I mean, I think that's a great mindset hack, right? You take something that didn't work out for you in one area and you turn it around and actually said, "Well, the joke's on you now because this is actually working really well for me." So I love that.
yeah.
And I think that's definitely a lesson for anybody to learn from you. I want to turn our conversation here a little bit to talk a little bit about more about you personally. Last year, I wrote a book called the Simple Networking Toolbook, which is it does the networking for you. And it's kind of like an old friendship journal. You give it to someone, they fill out a questionnaire about themselves, but then instead of giving it back to you, they give it to someone else who does the same thing, and then gives it to someone else, and so on and so forth. So the book itself does all the networking for you, and then ideally after 100 people fill out the book, it circulates back to you. I sent out 5 copies last year. I still haven't gotten them back, but if everybody even hangs on to it for 3 to 5 days with 100 people in there, it can take 2 years for that book to come back to me. So we'll see if they
Okay.
ever can make it back to me. But I do want to ask you some questions out of the book to paint some more color on who you are as a person. Now, you've mentioned a
Yeah.
bunch of places you've been to already. So why don't we start with very simple? What is a place you haven't been to yet, but you really want to visit?
Ooh. South Africa. I want to go deep sea cage diving with sharks. As crazy as that sounds. Or Australia. So I guess I got two.
Yeah, either one sounds like a blast. Why haven't you gone yet?
It is time and it's expensive for those excursions, but it's also, I've been so focused on running a business that fun is just the secondary.
Yeah,
It's like, I'll do that later. I'm still young, mid 30s. I do it later. So that's kind of my mindset. I'm more focused on business and trying to, not trying, but making my business more successful.
yeah. So you've always been going to the gym, staying fit. Obviously, you travel, you interact with people. But where is your favorite thinking spot? Where do your best ideas come from?
Ooh, my best ideas. Well, I let them marinate while I'm singing Frank Sinatra in the shower, but I really get the inspiration while it is the dead of night, midnight, 1, 2, 3 a.m. For some reason, 4 a.m. is really weird. It's like this hour of absolute quiet. The drunks are home, they're already sleeping, everyone's about to wake up. It's the quietest. And in that soft quiet, just sitting and thinking, and it could be at my desk, it could be in the living room, just somewhere at that time. I don't know what it is, but once you've stayed up and you've worked, and you've stayed up all night, it's almost like fasting. You come up with this inspiration. It's
Uh,
I don't know, it's just strange. 4 a.m. in front of my computer is the best inspiration.
Yeah, one thing I have found is we all have a best time of day for when we just at our peak. And so for me, I found 10 a.m. is that time. So I try to do all my hard, challenging things at 10 a.m. because I know that's the time when I am at my peak performance when it comes to my brain. So anything before that, I'm still waking up. Anything after that, I'm done with for the day for all. So that 10 a.m. spot is it for me.
I
But we all
guess
have
I
those
guess I
different
have
times,
to.
you know.
That's interesting. I don't think my time is 4 a.m. only if it's like I've spent all night thinking about it, and then it's like finally it clicks. So I don't
Interesting.
know. I think mine is around 10 a.m. too for you or for me. Like
Yeah.
that's my time. I need a little time to wake up, especially if I stayed up all night.
Yeah.
A little time
Sure.
to wake up, get some coffee, get the gears moving, and then yeah, 10 a.m. is a good time. That's a
Yeah.
great time.
I don't know.
I used to work out at 11.
Right, yeah, so my gym time is in the mornings for that reason, usually from 9 to 11 for that reason, so
Yeah.
it's just when I'm at my best, I don't know, it's just everybody's a little different. I'll throw you an extra bonus
Oh,
one because
again.
I actually, there's a ton of people. The gym I go to is a bunch of old people, so they have nothing but time on their hands. So you know they work out. But I'll throw you a bonus question only because you're a fascinating individual. I'm curious about this now. What is a food that you like to eat that other people may find odd?
What about me? Other people would find odd.
No, what food do you like to eat that other people may
Oh,
find odd?
interesting. That's a great question. Odd. Well, I think odd is different to everyone. You know,
Sure.
I keep a basic diet, but I can take out some Doritos. So I think that's the most odd I eat.
All
Honestly,
right,
I
that's
eat
fair.
very plain veggies, chicken, rice. I'm very boring. But you put, some Doritos in front of me, they're like, "You used to be a trainer. What are you eating as Doritos?" Like, they're great.
You know, my girlfriend
I love
made,
them.
nachos a couple of weeks ago, and instead of using just regular tortilla chips, she used Doritos, and they were delectable.
What? I'm gonna try that. Okay, I
Yeah.
got a new weird thing. I got a new weird thing now. Dorito
It's it
nachos.
There you go. You're welcome.
Golly,
Alright, uh,
today.
this next question is absolutely the weirdest question I've ever asked, but that's why I keep asking it. Would you rather have a cat that barks or a dog that meows?
Oh, meowing is annoying. I have a cat and a dog, and I'll tell you, I'll pick the dog over the cat. So the cat's meow, it hits an octave, and my fiance can attest to this. It gets me. So I'll take a cat that barks any day.
Alright,
Bark as
fair
much as you
enough.
want.
Go for it. All right. The last thing
Go
on the
for it.
show is always every guest has the opportunity to ask the next guest a question, not knowing who that person is, what they do, or what we're even going to be talking about. So this question is left to you by Sunny Job, and he wants to know: ask yourself, who am I?
That's interesting. Who am I? My name is Bryan Hayes. I'm a bull in a china shop, and I make a mess everywhere I go, but I promise I'll clean it up. That's right.
Ah, that's fantastic. I love that image. That's so cool. That's so awesome.
It's like,
Well,
oh,
look,
sorry,
it's
sorry.
That's how I feel about my life too, so I can relate to that. Well, listen, it's your turn to pay it forward. So, what question would you like to ask the next guest on the show, not knowing who it is, what we're talking about, or what they do in life?
Ooh, there are two kinds of people in this world: people that have thousands of unread emails and people that have zero. Who are you?
I love it. That's perfect. Ah, that's so fantastic. Okay, well, how can people reach out to you? How can they connect with you?
Absolutely. Website is being rebranded. It's still up, but it's going to look amazing very soon. Give it a couple weeks, but you can go to ElevateX Sales. That's ElevateXSales.com. There's a contact us form there. You can even call my office at 972-399-6448 or an email, Brian, that's with the Y, at ElevateXSales.com.
All right, there you have it. That's my conversation with Bryan Hayes. Be sure to connect with Bryan if you're interested in commercial real estate, especially if you're in his neck of the woods. I hope you got a ton of value out of this. As usual, be sure to like, subscribe, share, rate, and review. Do all those things because it helps us reach more people. And in the end, the more people we can reach, the more people we can help. Thanks for tuning in. All right, I really hope you enjoyed that. The questions that I asked towards the end are from my new book, The Simple Networking Tool. It's a great book that redefines how we network. It's all about who someone is and not what they are. So if you want to get your own book, it's available on Amazon. If you want to learn more, there's videos about it here on YouTube. So you can check out this amazing new social science experiment. I'm so excited for it. If you do get a book and you do start your own, please let me know how it goes and what your experience is like. I'm working on the second edition and I want to make it the best one yet. So be sure to tag me, let me know how it goes. Thanks for watching.